I am Goran Novakovic, and you're listening to the Functional Tennis Podcast.
Welcome to episode 145 of the Functional Tennis Podcast. I'm Fabio Mali, your host. Super episode this week with the founder of the TenPro events, Goran Novakovic. I didn't know much about these events before until a good friend of mine, Johnny McCormick, told me about them. And yeah, I was amazed. He says, look, you got to get Goran on the show. You got to find out about these events. They're really good. He's been at them multiple times. And yeah, so we got Goran on, had a great chat with him. He tells us all about them. I wish I was 10 again playing these tournaments. Now they go from under 10s to under 15s, but the players are treated like royalty. They're treated more or less like pros. And you don't, playing junior tournaments can be quite expensive where you fly to the tournaments, you have to book the flights really late. You don't know when you're flying home, so you have to book them really late as well. And you also then have accommodation. You don't know when you're checking out. And you only guaranteed one or two matches. If you don't win, you go home. So what his events do is guarantee a week-long run of events. When you're going to be checking out, you can book your flights way early. And it's an interesting story. And I really enjoyed listening to them. And as I said, I just mentioned this, I wish I was 10 playing these tournaments again. So before we get into it, a shout out to our podcast sponsor Slinger, who make the awesome portable ball machine, the Slinger Bag. Head over to slingerbag.com if you want to know more about it. There's loads of information there. If you have any questions, please ask me. I've used it now for, I'd say, 2 years, so I'm more than qualified to answer your questions. But let's get straight into the show with Goran. Hope you enjoy it. Bye. Hi, Goran. Welcome to the Functional Tennis Podcast. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. I hope you're the same with you.
Very good here. It's really good. I must say before we get started, you've the best tennis name in the world, Goran Novakovic. You've I was thinking, you must have changed your name at some stage to come up with this name full of tennis legends.
Yeah, that is combination of the many of them, but this is actually true name.
Yeah, nice. And so you run some great tennis events for juniors, the TenPro events, and I think I've posted over 9,000 videos on functional tennis or very close to it, and I don't think we've ever posted a TenPro video. And we've had, we post all age groups, all levels, and I've never really come across. I've heard of TenPro, but I've never looked into it too deeply until recently. One of the coaches I know really well recommended to get in contact with you and have a chat with you and find out a bit more about your events. And a lot of our listeners are parents and younger players and parents with kids, obviously, who play tennis. So I'm intrigued to find out about the event. So maybe first of all, tell us a bit about you, your background in tennis, and how the idea of the TenPro events came about.
Well, that's actually very easy. Many years ago, I was whole my life involved in tennis, first of all, and playing, but for sure the marketing side of the story. And like 10 years ago, I have the son who was, I still have him, of course, who is playing at the highest level in juniors, and we was visiting one to another of Tennis Europes or ITFs, and we see the shortcoming, So then decision was very clearly made actually that we want to improve the path of the junior tennis. That was the decision was or to follow what existing or to create something what is suitable to this decade, to this age, to this development, and to create a path for younger players. And that was the behind the story. So and that's what we created. We started with under the 10, only the one category, that's the why name is TenPro, and Global Junior Tour, but it's very, very early age after the one tournament. Actually, even before the one tournament, the interest was enormous. And worldwide, we had the first tournament with, I believe, 40 different countries. And then developed like the cell. Then we go to under the 11, 12, 13, and so on and so on. And end of the day, we end up with playing on all continents, all over the globe, best places where you can be, and with the 100 and almost 50, I believe, 149 countries in the moment present. So that's how everything go very quickly.
That's pretty quick. And what shortcomings did you see back when you were with your kid?
Well, when you, one of the things is what makes us unique, wherever in the globe is that we play the tournament. We are all organization the same. We are all traveling the same, and so if you go to the particular, I don't need to mention. It doesn't matter which organization is. They're having the tournaments with the same name in different countries, and but they are never the same, or is a different mentality, or different organization stage, or different things. So shortcoming with the means of that part that is never same level of organization. That's the number one. So it's many of them are unfortunately not the highest professional level, let's say. And second thing is, especially not in a young age. And second thing is that biggest shortcoming is the fact that you cannot treat the players, the juniors, same like you treated the ATP players. So that means, from many angles, from the financial part until the logical part, technical part, you cannot expect that somebody travel to Canada, by example, to play one match, to losing and winning, and then depending on that, with all the consequences of that, tomorrow need to get the flights back and to pay 3 times tickets and all this uncertainty and the pressure of the juniors. You cannot expect that. It may happen once, and never more that guy traveled to Canada.
Yeah.
So basically, when we created what we created, is that I can explain a little bit more later. But it's few things. Year ahead if you play the tournament. It's open year ahead to register it. You have all the tools, from the trainings, for hotels, from the flights discount. You have all the necessary tools to make it cheapest possible way. Also for you as the worker, for your family, for your school, for your player. He stay whole week. He play guaranteed 4 or 8 matches, depending to play 1 or 2 categories, and many different things happens worth it. And then when you travel, or you travel, example by the group of the federation of the club. You don't depending on under the 10 or 11, because most of the time you have like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players. So if you have 1 week under the 12, under a week under the 14, you just not pulling together group to go. And when you go to TenPro, you go from all ages. So it's just very easy to you to pull a trip together. So it's many technical part, but also development part. So it's both actually, and that's why we mix it to TenPro Global Junior Tour.
So that's interesting. So what you're saying is there's these junior tours around the world. So I'm going to use, for example, I'm going to say Tennis Europe, and they host tournaments in every country.
Yes.
But different people run those tournaments. The same people aren't there every week, so there's different standards, and you don't know what you're going to expect when you go to these tournaments. Plus, as you say, you might play 1 match and you have to go home the next day, unless there's a circuit on.
It's not that you're going to play 1 match. Is a fact. In the first day, 50% going to lose. Doesn't matter which of the 50% is they are losing. They may have the back draw those days, but the before not, and they may have the double, but they are having the single as well second day. So that means there is another 25% gone. So third day actually happens 25% of the players on site, which is not effective for anybody. And most of the time, they are the best players anyway, best on the national level. So that means that they are preparing, they are facing the hotels, rest, all the things. So basically from first and second day, it's tough to anybody anyway, because if you expect somebody to come in from far away, they need a few days adaptation, language, where to eat, where to sleep, how to go to site, and all these things. And they doesn't have the chance. If they wake up, they are already on a plane, go back to the home country. And so basically it's only 10-20% is running the story, that the semi-final players, let's say. And they having enough matches to be worth a trip to get 4 or 5 matches and so on. But everybody else, and that's like a big majority, is like 95% of the players, they only suffer from that tournament, particularly. They are only have the negative benefits. So we change that. So we everybody play for own position. What we're seeing is incredible. Is a position 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 35, you name it. They are fighting same like every final, because for them it is the final. The guy from India playing guy from Pakistan or Macedonia, Europe, whatever you name it, and then for them is the final. They fighting, and they already play 4, 5, 6 matches. Even they are position 35, So it makes much more worth it.
Yeah, that's interesting, because obviously players, as you mentioned, there's an expense to travel to these tournaments, and players, after 1, 2, 3 times this happens, they may even quit playing tennis because it's really tough and you get disillusioned. So I think you're often a great solution there. So maybe tell me, Goran, what is the format? So let's say there's your red ball. What happens when... green ball, the under 10s. When there's a green ball tournament, maybe you can tell me the format. What can a parent and child expect if they show up to one of your events?
Well, we are running the events, like I said, under the 10 is youngest category, and under the 16 is oldest category. It's separated per year of birth, so the 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. First biggest change is that you can play 2 categories. So that give you an example, if you're on the 10, you can play under the 10, or you can play under the 10 and under the 11, always 1 year ahead, which is 99% players choosing to play. Then you have the 8 matches during the 7 days, which is basically every day the match, so which is great. Then question about the draw is customized draw. It means that only the 4 players doesn't know anything about anything. They are playing until semi-finals. Winners go, like a Grand Slam, winners go to the final and losers go to 3rd, 4th place match. Everybody else, in some point, lose the match. And then they get an opponent from their own level also to lose in the same moments. So basically it's created that everybody fighting in own tennis level, whatever your level is on that moment. And also created positions at that level. So that means exactly we know who is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and until 100. And technical part is allowed us to, we don't depend anymore on the all the way school, let's say for 32 draw, 48, 64. We don't depending on that. We can have any number. Can be 57, can be 63, can be any number of the players. So it's much more convenient in many different ways. And besides that, what you're saying, just go back to the mentioning that organization, different countries, different levels. That's true. That's also depending on the who are running the tournament, but also depending on the conditions where you are. And those conditions are not always the same, you know. And we create exactly the same conditions. It doesn't matter you play in a Rafa Nadal Academy where you play, or you play on IMG in the States, or you play in Melbourne, or we play in Dubai, or Novak Djokovic, or Kim Clijsters, or Muratoglu. I can most likely forget many of them. Its conditions are same, exactly the same. Or execution, operation of the team is the same, and conditions the same. So basically, everybody experiences sort small Grand Slam level for the juniors.
That's why it sounds like a ATP or WTA tour event for these juniors, catered for them.
We tried, and we give them the best.
You say the conditions are always the same. Do you mean like it's just hardcourt only? Is that what you mean? And the format's the same?
No, I mean format is the same. I mean execution is the same. I mean the personnel behind the computer is the same. Media running is the same. Every fact that we prepare before the tournament, so to help, because it's one thing. We always created from an angle not of organization, but on the angle of the parents, coaches, and players. They are most important for us, because we know if they are going to do not only to, let's say, be satisfied, but just to enjoy completely on the program what we were pulling them, they will be coming back. So it's not a pressure things. It's just best reclam in the world is to tell each other, you know. And so basically is we try to all the time to improve in their mindset what they want to have and what they enjoy it. So that they enjoy it a lot of matches, coaching on court, many months before preparation, because then is a cheaper flights. Then is you can arrange your job that you get a week free. Kids get a school week free. You know when you go to the hotel, you know exactly the time that you fly in and fly out. It doesn't matter whether you're losing first day or we're losing third day or we're losing 5 days. And so many different components. But at the same time work for organizational side, because then you know do you can prepare that catering, or you can prepare a restaurant for them, or can healthy food for them, sponsoring, you name it. So for both sides works perfectly, because everybody know a year ahead what is going to happen.
Yeah, no, that's good. And So you've your draws. Do you rank players? Do you seed players? How do you seed them based on Tennis Europe events, or do you have your own internal ranking system?
We we have based on many. That was a nice discussion actually. Many years ago, we have the 18-point rules. It's too complicated to explain. It's this development on the national, because when you are 10 years old, it doesn't exist of 11 or 12. Doesn't exist in many countries even national. Yeah. So how you can expect it to that kids going to international level? Those days you have the UTR, but it's irrelevant. We're working with the UTR. It's still great. But they are great guys. There's no question about it. They are trying to pull it like before, like we are pioneers starting, and they're pulling the many things together. But still, it's a lot of countries that doesn't use the UTR, so it's you cannot compete with that. So basically, we competed on many things, and that was the 18-point rules where we counted is like your level, your presentation, sometimes video, your results, but depending on age, depending on many things, and but end of the day. Officially, we're not seated players. We're just doing the draw, but unofficially, of course, we know who is there, who is playing everywhere, and we have indeed internal ranking system, TenPro Global Junior Tour ranking system, which is score your points and earn your rewards. So it's completely different ranking system than anything else. We don't competing with anybody else. We're just trying to put something back to junior tennis, and by listen to the name, score your points, earn your rewards. It means that we back up with the prices. So if you are number one, you're getting those days Wilson contract, go to weeks Rafa Nadal academies or different kind of prices, and two and getting another things, three getting another things, and so basically what we tried. First time in history again, we tried to back up that the juniors and parents getting something back, not only to spend the money and to go to travel to play, but also to get something back from their achievements. So it's not only the points, but it's also back up with the prices. That's the idea.
That's nice. And if you are hosting a tournament, let's say tomorrow is the launch date for a TenPro event in the Rafa Nadal Academy. Mm-hmm. Is it invite only? Can any junior participate? How do you choose who plays and who doesn't?
Well, we in a first there is a registration form, but in many weeks, sometimes months before the tournaments are always fully booked. The example, Rafa Nadal was finished coincidentally 2-3 weeks ago, and it was 420 numbers, and it was almost 180, 190, almost 200 players in the waiting list. They are not getting in. Wow. And well, this depending on many occasions, but we try to put in several perspectives. First one, we're not allowed any country, even as a home country, to get the highest number of the players not, let's say, not potentially protected by the other ones, so not to have that too much dividing. So everybody to get the chance. And it's always difficult, because if you are number one in Nepal of Malaysia, then it's a little bit different than you are number one in England or France most of the time, but not always. So you try to give, and that's the name Global Junior Tour. So it's not European Junior Tour, it's a Global Junior Tour. So that's why we try to give the chance to best players from all over the globe. And sometimes they just surprise and getting the great results. Sometimes not, but this is how we try to feed the balance to the best players to be accepted from everywhere.
Nice. And I would not like to see your email customer support of parents whose players didn't get in. Well, I'm sure you have a hard time dealing with that. That's true. That's like 300 mails per day. Oh, yeah. And who's the most famous players you had? So tell us some previous winners. I do know Linda Fruvatova, who had a great run there in
Miami,
in Indian Wells. Yeah. Was it Indian Wells or Miami?
Yeah, it was Miami. That was
in Miami. Sorry, she beat. I know Azarenka retired, but she had a good win before that, and then she went through against Azarenka.
Well, she was beating Azarenka as well. She won the set and 3-love, and then she will be clearly beat her as well. And that's the pity that Azarenka quit, because then will be, much nicer to beat her really.
Yeah, and then she played Paula Badoza. But so she's what, 16? She's
2005.
Going to cause a storm on the tour. But what other players have played your events that we would know of?
Well, that got many of them, and that's the reason why we keep doing this, what we're doing, and that's the reason why we started to clearly give them the path. And at some point, some of them going early to that path. Linda was an example. Linda started with us, Linda and her sister Brenda. Actually, she had a younger sister Brenda, which is also incredible players. Which I don't have doubts that you're going to hear in a few years about her as well, maybe even before. And but they're visiting us since they was 7 or 8 years old or 9 years old. They are very, very young, started, play many tournaments with us. Not that particularly all of them won actually, but most of them are or winning or going the end of the stage. And I was remembering that a very small anecdote about Linda. She was playing our tournament in Germany, and Koblenz, we had at that time tournament, and she was playing first round. She was 4-1 up in the first set, and she was complaining medical timeout, no, she was 2-1 up and a medical timeout, and just started, and she had a very big pain in a foot, or something was shoes or something. So we changed the shoes, and we tried to help her, and she ended up with a 4-1, so 20-minute long games. 20 minutes later, next change, and then she quit because it was so much pain that she cannot play. But she played like a 4-1 was very long. It was clay match. It was 35 minutes, and go to hospital, and she had the broke and 2 pieces on the brain and a tooth and 2 on the front and the back, and ended up coming back with the gips and everything. And doctor said this is. I never saw it that somebody played 35 minutes with this injury. It was clearly broken in a first game. And she ended up with adrenaline playing still 5 games, and so that's the Brenda. That's the Linda, sorry. So that's the how the fighter, how the spirit, how you recognize and so we are very, very happy with her. Still on the good contacts, and she's sending us pictures, and we have the. It's a good things when you sing like that. We have many of them like that. It's not only that Linda is. In the girls' side, there are Sofia from Belgium. It's also top juniors in the world at the moment. Then you have Alexandra Ella from Philippines, which was the winner of our Kim Kleiser's tournament many years ago. And we remember her talk about service and everything. And she's now, I believe, number 1 or number 2 in the ITF in juniors. And she won just the Australian Opens in the doubles and Australian Open and I don't know. It's many of them, and many of them were winning the prestigious like Orange Bowls, like European Championships, like Eddie Herr, like many those kind of tournaments, and now Grand Slams as well in the juniors. So basically, if you look, what interesting for us is most likely I will forget something. Matilda is also one of them from England. So I will be. Forget some of them, so excuse me for that. But it's like what we are always lovely to see is like top 100, and there are 50, 60, 65 of them are go to TenPro, in some stage, and that was our satisfaction actually. So is that somewhere number 1, and the moment is number 1 or 2 or 3, but it's always a top 10 few of them, and always a lot of them on the hundreds. So.
And how many countries, how many events around the world do you host every year?
Between 14 and 16, depending on the COVID time, was changed that a little bit. And all continents, we have in Africa we have Cairo, in Europe we have everywhere from Novak, from Rafa, from Paris, Geneva, Switzerland, Netherlands. I don't know, it's like many, Muratoglu and Nice, many of them in Europe. Then we have the Melbourne in Australia. We have the Dubai, Middle East. We have the Georgia, Tbilisi, in Ostblock. Maybe I forget somebody. Yeah, of course we have United States. There's IMG. It's Sanchez Cazal. And so with Miami we have as well. And so basically we are covered the whole globe when we want. And you just asked before, how do we have the chance to have tournament somewhere else? I believe the list is like, believe it or not, 52 locations. They are a waiting list to get approval to TenPro, because we cannot be at the same time to the same quality. We don't want to be, let's say, McDonald's, and to have the one brand and then go to all over the world. We want to deliver the same quality everywhere. That's very important to us. So when you're doing this way, then you just limit it with the numbers.
So you're looking for specific high quality centers, maybe with a recognized name already.
Well,
to help.
The sometimes recognized name, sometimes not. But it's what is very important to us is that we are on the same page with the running. Is not like one more tournament. It's like every tournament is a special for himself, and the quality is there because the players expected that. That's the one of the things that we discovered that 10 years ago in the beginning. I was feeling that in some of the tournaments, somewhere, the reality of the respecting the parents, coaches, visitors, players, it was not on a level that we want to put it. And it was if they spend it, I don't know, some significant amount of the money, time, and involvements and everything for kids for 7, 8, 9, and 10 years, they know that it's still long time between they go to the profs, then we need at least to do it the same amount of the involvements to protect the quality that they're looking for it. So that's how we feel all the time by TenPro.
And what's the entry fee to play every tournament?
Entry fee is 95 euros, and regardless where you play in the world. So it's the same for Europe, it's the same for States, it's the same for Dubai, it's the same everywhere. Which is if you calculated that how many guaranteed matches you're playing, it's
very reasonable.
It's speaking for himself.
Yeah, no, that's
and of course, not forget the one fact is that we try to put in tournaments, which is a wow factor called it there. So if you go to Rafa Nadal, that's obviously one of the kind. We give them some sessions. Tony Nadal give them clinics or a lecture or questioning and answering, and they learn so many things. If we go to the Muratoglu, they sing, they Serena, they training with the Patrick. We organize the kids clinics with the Patrick Muratoglu. There is a Novak. There is, you name it. It's the same with the Boris Becker tournament. It's the same with Kim Kleister's tournament. It's the same with the Nick Bollettieri tournament in the IMG. So it's not only the tournament. It's much more in the whole pictures, because that kind of experience you cannot get anywhere.
I'm trying to figure out in my head, how do you actually finance this operation? Because it's not that expensive to enter, but you're providing so much value there in these unbelievable locations.
Yeah. Well, we financial from the story. It's a Robin Hood story. Is nobody going to be the rich here? We just try it to give our best, because it's a group of the. And meantime, is many of the people like me who working. You only see me, but there's many Gorans in our organizations, which is the tennis fanatics, and we still. At this very moment, my son is with the coach in a 3,000 kilometer further in Istanbul playing in some tournament. So it's we just loving what we're doing. That's the basic formula. And of course, there are many people who recognize that love in the same time. So we are happily not alone. We have the great sponsors. Only few of them. It's a Wilson, by example. It's from day one. Even before day one, even before we started, we were partnering with the Wilson, and they recognize completely the new project, new line, new everything. They support us until very still, and but this is not only support. This is the Wilson is much more than sponsor to us. This is like example. Ask yourself. I just tell you that you mentioned the Linda example. Look which racket Linda using. That's the only example. Don't ask how he ended up in a Wilson, So of course she ended up through us many years ago when she was like girl like this, and that kind of family feelings, and not only between them but between us, between everybody. Wilson is like a really one of the biggest, and is a bigger sponsor that we have, and is not only the sponsor, is just part of the deal, and that counts also for another ones. We have the Dustbowl Coffee, we have Zenith video technology. Before was a play side, and so that's how we financial hold the story. It's not only the 95 euros doesn't cover that your trip to the States with the team, and but it's a love. It's you just when you get in the Linda or some Brenda or somebody getting the pictures from the Miami, that's the worth it,
And just to be clear for listeners, the 95 euros doesn't cover accommodation or flights.
No.
We just
not operational things. It may cover it may cover. I don't know. I'm not financial guy from the park here.
No, not for you. For the parents, for the kids.
No, they're not covering that. But there are several things which we prepared year ahead. Example, we get in the progress to help them with the special hotels, which are nearest by or cheapest by or best one in the different category. Of course, you have sometimes 2-3 stars hotels, but you have also 5-star hotel in Dubai. Is a Hotel Atlantis where we play, which is one of the luxury one in the world. So it's so you try to put it all together for them. Then when they paying the 95 euros for a registration, they most likely getting the 300 or 400 euros back from the discount from that hotel. That's the way, So you already pay a lot of. Then when you go flying, return tickets, buying many months before, it's maybe 20% of the real price that you're going to pay it, and when you don't know, you fly somewhere. So it's many ways how you earn actually multiple times the 95 back to you.
Yeah, no, I just want to get that clear, because some people may think 95 euros will cover everything.
Yeah, no.
And so you're at these tournaments all the time. You're dealing with parents, kids all the time. What have you learned? What lessons can you tell parents that you've learned in all the years you've been doing this and all the people you've dealt with?
Well, to be honest, I learn every single day through every single formula. It's not a cliche. That is a really story. That doesn't matter how you think you know. It's when you deal with the youngest players, with the new ones, with the coming ones, with the parents, you always learn something if you are open to learn it. I never forget the one registration formula for one boy from Kazakhstan, many years ago, and he says, and it was one of the questions, your greatest wish. Most of the players answering it to be number one in the world, or similar, and he says, I always win. So I thought at the beginning, I don't know, maybe some sort of arrogance, maybe I'm not sure what I should expect it, So I meet him. But he was not the best player. He was fighting for position, not best in that tournament. So he was very young and 10 years old and playing for position 25 something. And I meet him and I says, I read your formula and when we accept you, and what you meaning with you always win? Do you always win in Kazakhstan or And he says, no, I always win, or I win, or I learn. So then I realized that he teach me actually. That's true. He always winning. That regardless of he winning in a match, he learn. If he lose the match, he learn conditions, way of playing, why he losing. He always analyzing. So that's why I keep it for myself. That's true. We always win always the organization, because we learn so much of them, so much of everything. So that's what keep me in a mindset.
That's a nice story. And what advice would you have for parents out there who get stressed out over their kids? It's a stressful. It shouldn't be, but it is, and some are better at it, and some aren't.
Well, the parents are. To be honest, we had the first few years played without coaching court. We played normal rules, let's say, and that happens a lot of things. Parents get crazy, some of them, and happens all the things around it. And then we introduced. At that time, every single player, around 70% of them, go after the first set, go to toilet. It was like toilet fall all the time. And considering the fact that we play in some locations with 20, 30 courts at the same time, you can imagine how many go to the toilet. And so it's what happens. We introduced the coaching on court, which is also allowed to parent to coach if it is parent to coach. Since then, to be honest, parents' behavior is reduced 85%. There is very few, maybe 2 per day, they are going to go to toilet, or suddenly nobody wants to go to the toilet anymore. And because they know, after the set they're getting the coaching on court, they're getting their own time to tell the kids whatever they want to teach them. So just be a behavior and watch the time. And of course, one of the things this is technical part, what we introducing differently than a different tournaments. Most of the tournaments is that you have one supervisor, they are rating, and it's not enough or in our optic. We try to provide it 1 per court or 1 per 2 court at least, and 1 per court sometimes difficult depending when you play so many. But 1 per 2 courts, that supervisor is there because you have the different languages, different mentalities, different surfaces, different everything. So we want to keep it a high level quality of the, don't mess with the rules, and it works. So in that terms, parents are much more calmer last few years than before. Nevertheless, is always the difference in some of them, but I think we have a great understanding between each other because we are a whole team. One of the good things, and maybe the key things is we are themselves parents. For our kids are training and playing somewhere else, so we know exactly what the parents' behavior is, not only to the tour, but also to I am the parent of that kid, to myself. So I know what they're expecting,
You understand. And what percentage of those juniors that come to your tournaments bring a coach?
Maybe 30-40%, and never getting analyzing directly on that, but most of them coming with the parents in the early age, and so maybe 60% of the parents, and I believe, let's say 30% it can be with the coaches. And another 10% is a mix. They go or with academy or they coming with the parents and then join academy coach or rent a coach or whatever they're doing. And but many of them doing in those days with the coach as well. Yeah.
And do you find that the kids with a coach or come part of an academy structure are the ones who you see getting to the top 5, top 8 at the end of the week, or it's at that young age, it's mixed up?
Everything is mixed up. Not only the young age, is also the oldest ages. There's quality is always the fact that they win the end of the story. So that in my optic, if you are with the parents or with a coach or with the academy, is still depending how a quality player is. And but this is the beginning of development, and then is the different question: what is the path of that kids need to follow? Do they need to go to the academies, or they need to follow with a private coach, or this? But this is also depending on the culture. Where are you coming from? Do you coming from the West Europe when they used to do it this system? Do you coming from Middle East where is used to another system? Do you it's actually particularly per player specific story. It's no general story on that.
Okay, interesting. And my final question, Novak, is what is next for TenPro?
My colleagues will be telling you next is a Mars, and so that's they usually will tell us in the meetings. And well, basically we achieved everything what we want to have the long-term goals in terms of the 5 years, 10 years, like business-wise programming. We already achieved that. So now is not anymore the question where we can be, because basically we are present in at least top 10 biggest sites in where we should be. And so there is also still a lot of nice things where we want to be, and so no question about that. So it's still goals that we're going to achieve, and but at the moment we just try to focus on that. Happily, COVID is behind us, and then looks like that, and then to make the as high as possible quality services for the players, coaches, and parents. And when we provide that, then doesn't matter where in the world you are, it's succeeded.
And do you see yourself ever moving into 16, 17, 18 age group?
We have the many requests, so that's many years to go beyond 18, beyond 16, to go to 18, to even go to seniors, to even go to wheelchairs, to everybody. We had a discussion with all of them, ended by padel, you know. So it's this is the nature of if you are doing what we're doing. It's a lot of communication between, and you getting all this informations. And but no, we are clearly decided 10 years ago, and we keep it doing as long as we can. We want to follow the junior because, again, make no mistake about it, the ITFs and another great tournament, they are existing, they are established, they are playing, and they are bringing the kids to like Linda now to Miami. We don't have nothing to do with that tournament. Even we play in the same Miami, our juniors. So it's a question is we want to guide them to go to that stage, to have the chance to join that level. And to that guidance, this is something what we want to be part of it and what we are doing, and happily works perfectly. And beyond that, not necessary to do anything because all the established projects already existing, and they are great.
Nice. No, I wish I was 10 myself and I could go back and play those tournaments or play them now. But thank you very much. That's a really great story, and I'm glad I came across you and to hear your story, and obviously these events which I'll follow a lot more closely myself now. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. We wish to all the auditorium all the best, and hopefully we'll be seeing some of the guys from your end joining us.